And I'll borrow the line from the previous coach. How did that work out for you?
Right.
I think he needs to have a quarterback, and he needs to have a big time wide receivers. And I think the guys he inherited were good college receivers, but not great. And I think he's, with what he's had to work with, I think he's actually done all right. And I've always gone back to the old Houston Nutt thing. In fact, I wish they ran the ball more. But when Houston Nutt had, Derek McFadden, Peyton Hillis, and Felix Jones, and the Arkansas fans were complaining that he didn't throw the ball more.
Right.
Well, if you got those guys, you should be fired if you don't run. And just like Jimbo has Isaiah Spiller and Devon Achane, of course you're going to run more, especially if you've got a quarterback that's not elite.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we ran enough down the stretch.
I agree.
But I think part of that was because they had to. They had to open up the run and do that. And you talk about having big quarterback and big wide receivers. From all accounts, Connor Wegman is going to be the truth. We believe Haynes is going to be as well. Another year of Zach, whatever role he ends up being. You cannot substitute playing in games, and he's done that. He's played a full season in the SEC, and I think from at least understanding the league, he's going to get better.
Yeah, and they're recruiting well in the offensive line. They're always going to have tight ends. They got the guy from Dickinson that's coming in. It's going to be special. So I think you can project what the caliber of athletes that A&M is going to be putting on the field on offense in just a year or two, and it's going to be as good as anybody, I believe. Now, right now, defenses are going to play them, with 8 in the box, sometimes 9, and even walk up a safety, because they don't believe that A&M has the personnel to beat you deep consistently. Well, you're going to have that personnel. And you'll see those people that are saying, hey, Jimbo's offense needs to evolve. You'll see that it looks like it's evolving, but it'll be because you'll have better players that give you the ability to do more things.
So if a lot of people are pointing at the LSU injuries and they beat you and yada, yada, yada. I get it. A&M plays a brand of football at times that makes games tight, and that's how they win in the fourth quarter. And unfortunately, this year, a couple of times, they lost in the fourth quarter. But again, if you take a step back from the season, they lost their starting quarterback and 2 wide receivers that they expected, maybe 3 that you expected to play a lot. Didn't. Like Caleb Chapman did not play a lot this season, and he was supposed to be downfield threat.
Yeah, and then Demas, who was inconsistent but had the downfield threat, he got hurt. You didn't have Hezekiah Lane. Jones. You didn't have Chase Lane. So you've had a lot of injuries. Now, did LSU have a lot of injuries? Certainly. But there's no doubt, if you're paying attention, that the LSU defense was playing at a very high level in the last month. They held Alabama to 6 yards rushing. Mm-hmm. And so if you went into that game thinking that A&M was going to run the ball up and down the field.
We knew they weren't.
Yeah. So knew it was going to be a tough game, and you got a couple of bad breaks go against you. And, you had some guys in coverage. That was more of a reason for you losing than your offense.
You could be disappointed and think that was a very winnable game, but also understand what this team was up against this year. Both things can be true.
Yeah, I mean, could they have won it? Yeah. Should they have won it? Probably. But the reason they lost that game was because, and you can say, well, the officials did this, the officials did that. Don't give up the 31-yard pass when there's 40 seconds left in the game and your opponent has no timeouts.
Right.
I don't know what defense they were in or who messed it up. I think they're in a zone. I don't know who messed it up, but busted that coverage. Be on top of your game in the last 40 seconds.
So one of the things that I listened to most of the in-home visit that the recruiting team did yesterday, and Billy, I believe it was Billy who said this, and we'll have Billy on the show at some point today just to kind of go through the entire Evan Stewart recruiting process. But one of the things he said is this is a home run threat that can make an impact day one.
Yeah, apparently he is. I mean, he's seen some highlights. And
I think he compared him to A-Chain as a wide receiver.
What kind of speed are they going to be able to put on the field? Again, the guy's the number 1 receiver in the country. I saw his coach, maybe not his high school coach, maybe his personal coach or something like that, was saying that A&M's never had a receiver like this before. Maybe not. They've had some really good receivers. There's a guy that's going into the Hall of Fame probably in about 6 or 7 years, 8 years, but different. This guy apparently is just a blazer that can really jump,
take the top off,
and then great hands.
You combine that with what I think Moose is becoming, what I hope Demas becomes. I mean, you've got yourself a nine. And again, the backfield, they're going to lose Isaiah Spiller to the NFL draft more than likely, but you've got next man up. And A-Chain's going to take a bigger role. LJ, Amari, they're all going to have more. It just keeps getting better there.
Jimbo's just stacking talent, and one of these days, one of these years, you're not going to have a lot of issues with injuries. Mm-hmm. One of these years, as you stack talent, you're going to have one of those seasons where you're fortunate and injuries aren't a major factor. They're always a factor, but they're not going to be a major factor. And then, you might see what we've all been hoping for.
And one thing I will say, as well as I think Zach played this year, because I do think he played well with the Warrior, all the good things you say about him. This team, this program came into the season thinking they were going to have a certain type of quarterback. A 4-3 guy who can run, who can change, and now you're going to have to account for him. Zach does not run like Haynes, and he was limited because of the knee injury. So you put all that together, it's not excuses, this is the reality of the situation. You came in with this type of quarterback, you had to evolve with what you had, you did the best you could. It wasn't good enough, a big picture, but you're also headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so. I think A&M is going to be in that program that, every so often you're going to win 8 or 9 games, and that's the recalibrating year. That's the disappointing year. Mm-hmm. And I think I think this is going to be that disappointing year, but only because of the injuries.
By the way, just as a reminder, Georgia last year went 8-2. Now it's just it's a shorter season, but as good as they are, they went 8-2 last year. But they have had some. I'm looking through their wins by year. This is where A&M needs to get to, and this needs to happen soon. 13 wins in 17, 11 wins in 18, 12 wins in 19, 8 wins in 2020. Obviously, they got 12 wins this year.
Now, that will be more difficult for A&M.
Yeah, they're in the West.
And
now Brian Kelly is in the West. But and we'll talk about him on the other side. But I'm not really worried. Worried is not even the word. Like, I expect LSU to always be a contender. I expect them to always be good. I know they haven't been good the last 2 years, but that's a program that I expect. They'll figure it out. It doesn't matter if they have Bill O'Brien out there or they have Brian Kelly. They're a team that you can probably think that they're going to win 10 games a year.
Well, I would have loved for them to retain Ed O, and I would have loved for them to hire Bill O'Brien. Brian Kelly will be their best coach since Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. And I think you don't scare anybody. You're not going to be scared of anybody, but you got to respect them all. And this guy, he's not a cuddly guy. He's about as cuddly as a porcupine, but he's a damn good, hard-nosed football coach that's going to put a tough team out on the field, especially in the offensive and defensive lines. So if you got any linemen that are soft, they're going to find out what it's really like when they start playing against a Brian Kelly team.
Our topic of the day, what are your thoughts on the news from last night? First, Brian Kelly to LSU, and then the Ags landing Evan Stewart, one of the top wide receivers out there, coming right here to Aggieland. You can call the BCSI hotline if you want to be a part of the conversation, 979-693-1150, or text the A&B text line, A&B, a College Station branch of the Amarillo National Bank. Good Texas banking. The website is amb.com. And with that, we go to the News and Social Center. Good morning, Tori Esprovoa.
Good morning, you guys. How was y'all's Thanksgiving break?
It was busy. A little busy.
That's good.
But a good busy other than I'm not a big fan of Baton Rouge. That's just don't like it there very much.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Got to get over that bridge. It's traffic-y. It's in it. A lot of purple.
Yep. All right, let's get into some headlines here real fast. Texas A&M men's basketball team returns to Reed Arena tonight to host New Orleans at 6 p.m. Also, league announced yesterday for the Texas A&M men's basketball, Quentin Jackson garnered his first career Southeastern Conference Player of the Week award following his outstanding week against the Maui Jim Maui International.
big stuff there. We were at the Buzz press conference. I haven't been to many of his availabilities. I've met him in person a couple times, and he seemed to be pretty good mood. Like I think he likes the direction they're going in, and how can you not after the week that they had Thanksgiving week in Vegas?
Yeah, I think that weekend kind of changed a lot of opinions about A&M basketball. At least gave you some
hope.
Some hope.
Yeah.
Say, man, if that's who they're going to be, especially that second half against Notre Dame, if that's who you're going to be, that's a team that's going to be fun to watch.
Yep, absolutely. All right, hey, we'll get into more Brian Kelly, more Evan Stewart, more thoughts from the future of A&M, and when it comes to the bowl game and when it comes to these recruits. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. But right now, I do want to talk about the Aggieland Outfitters. Guys, take advantage. I already got a message yesterday. A couple people taking advantage of this 20% off. Think about all the great gear that they have at Aggieland Outfitters. Whatever you're looking for, a nice Adidas top with an A&M logo, great material, whatever brand, whatever awesome fabric, however you want to rep A&M, they've got it all out there. And right now, a very limited time, they have a 20% off your entire purchase online. All you have to do is at checkout, type in TexAgs21. TexAgs21 at checkout, 20% off. They're going to take great care of you, and only because you listen to this amazing show that has me and the great Olin Buchanan. That's the only reason they're doing it. So jump on it, 20% off. Type it in, TexAgs21.
This is Aggieland's only all-sports station.
Let's play, fellas!
The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour is a must part of any Aggie football season. Join Billy Lucci of TexAgs and Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, every Monday and Thursday at 6 at the Tap. Or listen in right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour every Monday, Thursday at 6 is brought to you by King Ranch Saddle Shop. Also brought to you in part by B&B Automotive. It's the Bellucci Hour Happy Hour.
Hey parents, when it comes to your child's education, there's a lot to consider. No matter what you're searching for, search the Bryan Broadcasting Half-Price Tuition Program first. We've partnered with schools and learning centers throughout the area to get your student started with high-quality programs at half price. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kingsgate Christian School, Sunshine School, Kinder Music, and more. Half-price tuitions are first come, first served, and availability is limited. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
It's not every day you can save money. Oh, wait, you can. Hi, Jenny here from Big Deals. When you shop Big Deals, you'll save money every day on dozens of gift certificates from local businesses like these.
Howdy's Pizza, BCS Tire Pros, Cotton and Oak Home and Style, Cilantro Mexican Grill, and more. Visit AggielandBigDeals.com to save big. AggielandBigDeals.com.
He was the heart of your family, and he taught you our history. He helped you fix your first flat. He was the best backyard DJ around, and every time he'd tell a story, he'd own the room. But now more than ever, he may feel alone. Today, older adults and their loved ones are struggling to connect, in a time when connection has never been more important. But there is something we can do. Embrace our older loved ones through StoryCorps Connect. With StoryCorps Connect, you can honor seniors remotely with an interview about their life. Every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history, so that years from now, future generations can listen in.
All right, Grandpa, what's one piece of advice you have for me?
Just 3 words, sweetheart. Live with courage.
The man that had the best stories still has plenty of stories to tell. So connect virtually and share the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. Connect, honor, share. StoryCorps Connect. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
It's not every day you can save money. Oh, wait, you can. Hi, Jenny here from Big Deals. When you shop Big Deals, you'll save money every day on dozens of gift certificates from local businesses like these.
Smitty K's, M&M Apparel, Fajita Pete's, Latino Hand Car Wash. Visit AggielandBigDeals.com to save big. AggielandBigDeals.com.
And we back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. OB, myself here for the Go Hour, breaking things down. We will talk a little Brian Kelly to LSU, more on Evan Stewart here. OB, I'm proud of you, buddy. Proud of you. You told me yesterday you are focused, you are motivated. Fitness guru Olin Buchanan put it in yesterday, right?
It's time to get back at it for real. So I did worked in some weights and I worked in some punching bag, but I did an hour on the treadmill last night, and then this morning I got up at 6 o'clock and did a half an hour. Intend to do another hour later.
And I feel like at least yesterday you did a fasted. You fasted the morning, correct?
Yeah, I did until. Well, I have to admit that was the plan. Then Dalton brought in some kolache. So
it's interesting. He didn't offer me any kolaches. Very interesting.
Well, he's that way.
I would have passed. So, but yeah, I texted you yesterday when I was at the gym just to remind you to it starts today. There's no starting tomorrow.
All right. Hey, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Did you see the video of R.C. Slocum ringing the bell?
I did see that. Yeah, KBTX had it yesterday. It was beautiful to see him. I saw one headline where he said this has made him a better person. I don't know how that's possible, as great of a guy R.C. is, but I love his perspective.
Yeah, I'm so happy for him and wish him all the best health, and hope everything goes well for him.
Love that guy. Always so kind, and just what he means to this program and in this city. All right, a couple of text messages that did come in on the A&B text line. I would like for you to respond to this. John in Cyprus says on the A&B text line, Jimbo comes to a school that's printing money and $10 million a year, crazy, but Kelly's getting paid $15 at a school that is operating in the red, so much that the governor had to step in because of a $1.6 billion shortfall for universities, but no outrage for Kelly to LSU, and then he adds the CKS at the end.
Well, I wonder if there's any outrage to Brian Kelly not Brian Kelly, but what's his name? That went to USC from Oklahoma.
Oh, Lincoln Riley.
Oh, yeah. All I kept thinking was dry fit. Lincoln Riley. I wonder how much outrage there's going to be.
He can use the plane apparently anytime he wants for his family.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to negotiate that with Brandon here.
And then just some of the others. I mean, it's just those two. Mel Tucker. There's been so many big raises. Now, Jimbo's may not be in the top 10 highest paid coaches before this is all over.
Yeah.
And I keep tweeting, hey, does this piss you off, Dennis? Are you pissed off at this guy and this guy? Because every time I read, not every time, frequently when I read something about Dennis Dodds, especially by Dennis Dodds on CBS Sportsline, when he's doing his top 20, he frequently brings up Jimbo Fisher's contract. Like he's the only guy making a lot of money. Well, now, there's a lot of coaches making even more than him.
Well, there's a Billy tweeted out yesterday that apparently LSU offered Jimbo $13 million for 8 years.
Wow. That's $4 million a year more than if you, of course, well, I don't even know how much more that is because his $9 million is over 10 years, $9 million a year for 10.
Right.
And he turned it down.
Well, he just didn't want to leave. Yeah. He didn't want. And I look, I don't care if Lincoln Riley or Brian Kelly is making $15 million a year. I don't care what other people make. If that's how you want it, I think it's more of a waste of money to spend money on a coach that doesn't work out for you. So the Hermans and the Sarks of the world, and maybe Lincoln will be atrocious at USC. Maybe he'll hit a home run. Maybe Brian Kelly will be exactly what LSU wants. However you want to spend your money, that's fine. But for you to point fingers at one guy and then all of a sudden be okay for your guy, to me is where I have an issue.
Well, I've said before, it's a caste system. And, the national media, and I've been part of it, certain schools, if you do one thing, it's okay.
Right.
Others, then it's an outrage. I will say this, and I've said it all along, if you find the guy that you think is a successful coach and can be good for you, you might as well do whatever you can to bring him in and lock him up. You just mentioned how much money a program can spend by firing a guy and looking for somebody else. There's a handful of elite football coaches. And if you get one, you're going to have to hold on to it. And then, there are those that are going to say, oh, you should be spending this money somewhere else. Look, most of these programs pay the university's not paying anything.
Right.
It's private donations and things like that bump it up, and then there's like, well, they should spend the money. They should be donated somewhere else. No, if you've made the money, you have the right to spend it, donate it, however you please to whoever you please.
Who is Zach Barnett?
I'm not sure.
He was going at Billy a little bit yesterday. Just I don't know. There's just the amount of people who take, like, who was it, Colin Cowherd the other day, and then this Barnett guy wondering why Stewart picked A&M over Texas, and Damon Demas only
probably
had 15.
never been here.
But Cowherd all in on Team Sarkisian for some reason. Look, worry about you. We're doing just fine here, and I do got to give you some props on something, because I believe you were the first. Said that was a lot of anger there. You were the first one to tell us Brian Kelly would be who you would call. And this was like over a month ago. You said this, that Brian Kelly is the guy. And you, on several occasions on this show and on other shows, said that's who I would keep my eye on, because he's one guy that I think you can pry out of a school.
Yeah, when I was a national writer, even back then, there was talk that Brian Kelly was frustrated at Notre Dame because of the entrance requirements. So he had a couple of hurdles, a couple of obstacles when recruiting that most big-time programs, football programs, don't have. And he was always looking around for the right situation. He wasn't going to leave for just anybody.
Right.
But I always felt like, first of all, he's an elite coach, and secondly, and he had a great job, a high-profile job, prestigious. But he was frustrated, and I always thought that if the right job came along, that he could be convinced to leave. And what they're reportedly paying him, and at a place like LSU, that's the right opportunity.
I'm going to do something that I don't think people should do, but I'm going to pretend like I'm Brian Kelly. I don't leave for LSU. I understand. I mean, again, I don't know all the stuff that he's dealing with there, but I feel SEC football, you have 3 or 4 average years, or 3 or 4 8-9 win seasons at LSU, you might get fired.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Right? At Notre Dame, he's probably fine as long as he wants to be there.
If he had if he had 3 or 4 average years, he'd get fired.
But he doesn't have the SEC West schedule.
It's true. It's true.
It's like Riley going to the Pac-12. I think smart move. He can dominate the Pac-12. Going in the SEC West, or wherever they would put him, he's not going to dominate.
You know what? Great coaches aren't scared.
Nope, they're not scared. But if you're
Jimbo
being
Fisher, you're saying, hey, all you got to do is beat Clemson. Why do you want to go to the SEC and have to deal with LSU and Auburn when they're good, and Alabama? Why do you want to do that when all you have to do is beat Clemson? Because he ain't scared.
He ain't scared. That is part of the conversation. Also, I think it's a better situation overall. Like, if you're evaluating the entire situation, maybe LSU is a better situation than Notre Dame. But I don't know. I mean, you're right. He's not scared, and that's what the top coaches want to do. And I guess what you're saying is, in a way, Lincoln Riley is scared of the SEC.
I just find it very interesting that Lincoln Riley left for USC, a struggling USC program. Of course, if they weren't struggling, they wouldn't be looking for a coach. Mm-hmm. But a USC program that's been very inconsistent, struggling more than they've been successful for over a decade. The year that it's announced that OU is going to go to the SEC. I mean, it's one thing to dominate the Big 12, where you got to beat 1 or 2 teams, and you don't even have to. It's not even Texas anymore, and unless you screw it up, you're going to win the conference championship.
Yeah,
to a program that could be the same, but you got a lot of work to do. And quite frankly, I think there is some question about Lincoln Riley, because he basically took over for what Bob Stoops had, and now he's going to have to actually build. I saw Barry Trammell, the Daily Oklahoma columnist, wrote, don't worry, to OU fans. He said, Lincoln Riley didn't make Oklahoma football. Oklahoma football made Lincoln Riley.
I've seen a lot of people that I'm very close with that are big OU guys, and they're not worried about it at all. I think the worry, though, is now you're playing in a different conference, regardless of who your coach is, that should worry you a little bit.
If I was Oklahoma, I'd be worried.
Yep.
Because who's going to be your coach? Is Stoops going to come back? Are you going to hire Brent Venables? Your recruiting class is disintegrating right in front of you. Even you have about 4 or 5 guys have already decommitted. You got guys announcing they're transferring out into the transfer portal. 5-star guys that you brought in, like Theo Weiss, the wide receiver. I mean, it's crumbling. And now Gabriel Brownlow Dindy said, well, I'm still going to keep it between Oklahoma and A&M. He's committed to Oklahoma. Now he's saying, well, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep thinking about it. He may still go to Oklahoma, but he might be another guy on that top 10 list that ends up at A&M.
Hey, let's now a moment for the Association of Former Students and all these new commits coming here to A&M. They're going to get to find out all about the Association of Former Students. And I'm sure they're going to become Century Club members at some point after they graduate from this awesome university. Did you know that the association is the oldest organization serving the A&M and that Aggie network because of all the great work you guys have done? They've done it for over 140 years. Those gifts have empowered the association to be here, there, and everywhere. And that's for Aggies all around the world. And just think about some of the options that they've done to help out. Student muster, Fish Drill Team, Parsons Mounted Cavalry, the Corps of Cadets Visitor Center. They've done that, and a lot of that is possible because of you becoming a Century Club member, $100 a year, $9 a month. You'll get the decal, the plaque, the Texas Aggie magazine, plus you're continuing in the oldest, most inspiring tradition of Aggies, helping other Aggies out there. To learn more about the impact of the association, get involved, make a gift, visit aggienetwork.com/giving.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. A presentation for seniors about food as medicine is this Wednesday. Contact Mature Well Lifestyle Center for more information. The public is invited to a reception honoring Dr. Craig Bohart, retiring president and CEO of Hospice Brazos Valley, this Thursday at 3:30 p.m. at the Bryan office. Kick off your holiday season by coming to watch the Bryan High Viking Theater perform their annual radio show. Performances are Thursday through Saturday. Find showtimes and purchase your tickets at bhsvikingtheater.com. College Hills Baptist Church provides free tutoring every Wednesday and Thursday night for all students in the Brazos Valley area, from elementary school to college students. Come out and receive free tutoring from Texas A&M students for all your homework and studying help. Did you know The Zone is on social media? Follow us and like us at Zone 1150 on your favorite way to kill time with friends. We are Zone 1150 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Howdy, y'all. This is Cullen Gillespie, former 12th man. I've always tried to help my team on and off the field. And now I'd like to help Texas A&M fans like you cut their electricity bills in half. Yep, in half. It takes less than 5 minutes and you'll save hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars every year. 90% of Texans overpay for electricity, so don't be one of them. Sign up today at EnergyOgre.com and use code GILLY, G-I-L-L-Y, for a free month of service.
Howdy, this is Steve Bledsoe, fighting Texas Aggie class of '83, with some exciting news. VeriBank is now open with our new full-service location on Highway 6 in College Station. With personal bankers, business bankers, VeriBank has everything you need in one convenient location. Come see for yourself, where genuine banking is waiting for you, and you can bank on it.
Visit VeraBank.com today. That's VERA Bank.com. VeraBank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
The Rams went all in on Stafford. They're going to like that move, or are they going to have buyer's remorse on Stafford?
If they don't make it to the Super Bowl, it's going to be buyer's remorse.
In year one?
In year one. You got to remember, you're looking at them sitting right now, if the season ended today, as people like to say, guess what? They're in the 5th seed. You think that they paid that ransom to be in the 5th seed? When you go and you spend all of that to go and get Matthew Stafford because of that he is going to be the answer to get us to the Super Bowl and winning, and he's throwing pick sixes to the Green Bay Packers. That guy we thought was in Detroit. That guy is now in Los Angeles, and what I mean by that is the swap for Jared Goff. That was Jared Goff throwing pick sixes. Now Matthew Stafford's throwing pick sixes. Y'all gave up all that to get that.
Listen in to Key, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor from 5 to 8 on The Zone.
Little Twist and Shout.
Did you see Rodney Dangerfield sing this in Back to School?
Back to School, one of the best movies ever.
It's a great movie.
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to Charean Williams on the BCSI hotline, talk all things college football. We'll get into some pro football as well from Pro Football Talk and a great Aggie as well. Charean, how are you this morning?
Speechless.
Charean, are you there?
Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
are. Good morning.
I am speechless. I am absolutely speechless.
So, where should we start? Do you want to start with Brian Kelly to LSU?
Wow. I guess. What a stunning couple of days in college football. I never seen anything like it. Don't know that we'll ever see anything like it again. And imagine if you're Texas sitting there seeing all these coaches change and knowing you hired Sarkisian last year. I think that's a pretty bad feeling. But I don't know what to think about it. I mean, is college football out of control now? I think there's an end to it because I think there's only a handful of teams that can pay what we've seen these teams play. But, now Saban's in line for an obvious raise based on his contract with what I've read. And, you knew LSU, based on Scott Woodward being there, was going to go get a big name, big hire. And they did. They stunned everybody. Brian Kelly, nobody saw that coming, did they?
I think OB saw it coming. OB was the one talking about him about a month ago. I don't know if he had the intel, but he used his deductive reasoning to get us there.
Yeah, well, you knew a big name, and there's only a handful of those guys out there. I really thought it was Lincoln Riley. I thought he was headed to LSU, and that may have been even more stunning to go to USC, to see Lincoln Riley go to USC. But I get it now. It makes more sense now. But that one, to me, probably was even more stunning, just to see him leave to go to USC simply based on how not very good USC's been for a really long time.
Would you believe that the theory that Lincoln Riley just did not want to have to compete in the SEC?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Oklahoma is an annual contender in the Big 12. They're not going to be that in the SEC. They're not going to be that in the SEC. I mean, I think everyone agrees on that except OU fans. I just don't know how they go in and compete for title. And hey, he hadn't won a title either. Let's start there and they've gotten worse every single year. And look at his record, where they started and score-wise in the games, and then not winning the Big 12 title, and now not even making the Big 12 championship game. So, yeah, absolutely. I don't think they're going to get in there and compete every year for a championship like they have done in the Big 12. So I absolutely think there's some validity to that. It's going to be much easier for him to recruit and win at USC than it's going to be at Oklahoma. And that's in my opinion. I absolutely think that played into it because you can go into the Pac-12 and recruit like he's probably going to recruit at USC and win a conference title and have a chance to compete for their championship. The schedule's way easier. There's no question about that.
Talking to Charean Williams here on the BCSI hotline. Charean, I don't know how much you follow recruiting, but the Ags do land Evan Stewart, one of the top wide receivers out there. Again, Jimbo just stacking talent on talent.
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible. What are they, 3 now, I think, and headed toward number 1 with a chance to get, I saw Billy talking about a chance to get 2 or 3 more guys up there. Yeah, it's going to be an incredible recruiting year. They certainly need it. Certainly need everything that recruiting class is going to bring. But the bottom line is you still got to have a quarterback. If you got the quarterback, you got a chance. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance to win. I mean, that's the bottom line. Our quarterback played great in one game this year. It came against Alabama. We won that game. Every other game was a struggle. Whether you won it, whether you lost it, it was a struggle. The defense was good enough to keep us in most games. But the quarterback's still got to make enough plays to A, open up the running game, and B, just score enough points to win games. And the defense won that Auburn game. So it still goes back to the quarterback. I mean, you got to have other good players at other good positions. I mean, we saw it on defense this year. You're going to have one first-round draft pick off that defense and some other really high picks in the draft. Some other guys drafted off of that defense. So it's a really good defense with a lot of good players, but it still wasn't enough to win your conference championship. So you still got to have the quarterback. You got to find the quarterback. That's still the key in any level of football. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance.
So was the LSU loss the most disappointing to you?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't sleep for 2 nights. I was so mad about it. Still am mad about that game. And it was one play. It was one play for each unit, right? I mean, if the special teams play, which his forward progress was not stopped. So if you get that, the game's over. The offense makes a 3rd and 2. I really wasn't happy with the 3rd and 2 play call, and I'm sure Jimbo wasn't either. You make that, the game's probably over. You make the defensive stop on 4th down, the game's over. You tackle the receiver and don't let him catch the ball, or you get the offensive pass interference, the game's over. I mean, each unit had a chance to end that game, and it didn't happen. Yeah, to me, it was one of the most disappointing losses in a really, really, really long time for me. And I was stewed about that thing for 2 days, and I kind of got over it when we started seeing all these coaches change and A&M getting some top recruits. That's helped the mood, but I'm still mad about it.
Charean, I think the real frustrating part about this season is we knew we weren't the team that could have won 11, 12 games because of the Haynes King injury. That being said, they could have been the team that won 11 or 12 games because every loss, even the Arkansas loss, was a winnable game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no question. Absolutely it was. I mean, you think of you're a player or 2 away in every single game of winning the games you lost. Of course, the same could be said of some of those wins, too. You look at the Auburn game, you're probably a player or 2 away. If defense doesn't make that play, maybe you lose that game. Or if the other quarterback, you guys know I'm not a Bo Nix fan, if the other quarterback plays, maybe Auburn's better on offense and has a chance to win that game. So there were so many games that were so close. But, yeah, you had a chance to have a pretty special season with 10 wins, and now that's out the door. And I'll be curious to see, and I don't know if any of it now, like, to me, there's really, you're going to get a crappy bowl game. There's not that much to play for now. And so are some of these guys who are going to the NFL, are they going to hang around? Or are you going to lose 10 or 12 guys who are going to go start training for the draft? If that's the case, maybe you lose the bowl. You didn't have a chance at a crappy bowl game to win. That LSU game to me was just, as we talked about last week, as OB said, was a huge, to me, momentum and it really season-changing game because you could win 10 games. You had something to play for. 10 wins looked good. Now I don't know what you're playing for in a bowl. You had a better bowl game, and now I don't know. Where are they even projected? I don't even know where they're projected to go because I was so mad I hadn't even looked it up.
And that's why I like Charean so much. She's passionate, and yet she tells the truth. And it's probably, in my opinion, it's probably the Music City Bowl against Clemson. That's what I'm guessing.
And I'm hoping for Tampa. Somehow. Just pick us for a better brand. Hey, Charean.
Well, Tampa was my guess, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying Tampa was my uneducated guess of where they might end up. But probably, Orlando might have been the bowl game you go to if you win that game, but you don't get it done. So yeah, it was a bad loss. It's a bad loss in every way. One of the worst losses I can remember in a really, really long time.
Hey, Charean, we do need to get into the top 3 Aggies in the NFL, but I want to ask you something about the Texans, if you don't mind. Justin Reed, who's one of the best guys I know in the NFL, just a quality man, got benched this past weekend, apparently for a disagreement with Coach Culley.
Yeah.
Do you know much about what's going on there?
Well, I think it was a disagreement with the position coach, and they thought they had settled it out and didn't. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that team. It's not a very good team. Most of those players probably aren't going to be back. A lot of them were on one-year contracts. And I don't know where you go with this team rebuilding. And, like, who do you draft? You're going to get the second pick probably in the draft. I mean, who do you draft? There's no quarterbacks in college football that make you go, yeah, this guy's going to turn us around. I mean, I just don't see one where you're just thoroughly convinced that he's the guy. So, is it a trade for perhaps a veteran guy? But I don't know. Most of these guys have no trade clauses in their contract, and I don't know that you're going to get a guy who wants to go to Houston with no talent around him. So this is going to be a long rebuild. And I feel bad for Texas fans. You know, I grew up down in that area and have a lot of friends who are either season ticket holders or just Texas fans, and it's going to be a long rebuild. This isn't something in the NFL you can turn things around in a hurry. This isn't going to be one where you turn around in a hurry. They just don't have much talent on that team. There's just not much there.
All right, Charean, top 3 Aggies in the NFL. Let's start with number 3.
Yeah, it was a hard week. There just weren't, frankly, many outstanding performances, and we're going to go with Jake Matthews just because we don't give offensive linemen much love at all. And the Falcons won 20-14, and suddenly you look, and they're right there in that playoff picture. The team only gave up 1 sack, and he's played nearly every snap this season, has played pretty darn well for a team that now has 5 wins. 2, we're going to go with Myles Garrett. Lost to the Ravens, but he had 5 tackles. He had a sack early in that game. Really was pretty good against them. 2 quarterback hits and a pass defense. And, oh, by the way, he leads the NFL in sacks, the leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. I voted for him for my mid-season Defensive Player of the Year, as I think most people did. I saw him on most people had him as the mid-season Defensive Player of the Year. Really cool. He can win that. Vaughn's never won and finished second one time. Number 1, we're going to go with Josh Reynolds. How about that? The Titans should have kept him. They had no receivers on Sunday for Ryan Tannehill. Instead, they were playing with a bunch of Jags, and Josh Reynolds went out and had 3 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown for the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. Just got there not very long ago. But he is back with Jared Goff, and those two have a connection now. And I think we're seeing he's a better receiver than what the Titans gave him credit for, making him inactive most weeks. It perhaps wasn't a good fit, but the Rams didn't give him much of a chance because they had better receivers before him, but he's getting that chance with the Lions and showing that he can be a number 1 guy.
That is Charean Williams, Pro Football Talk. Charean, thank you so much as always.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there she is. Always great insight on the program. Right now, I want caller number 1. We're going to give you a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch and Greens Prairie. They are Aggie-owned and operated with the friendliest staff and the personal touch. They offer a monthly membership, but we'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express in South College Station. The phone number, 979-693-1150.
This is your home for TexAgs Radio. Louis Bellina and Chip Howard. Now listen, this is The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
You know we do. Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
I guess you've noticed how much your home's cooling bill has been recently. Perhaps there are rooms that are never the right temperature. There's a way to save some of that expense while adding security, reducing dust, pollen infiltration, create a quieter, more comfortable atmosphere, enhancing the beauty and value of your home. All of the above and more can be accomplished by letting your neighbors at Intercon replace your windows with premium Burris vinyl windows. Intercon is a locally owned and operated source of custom-made vinyl windows, which come directly from the factory to your home and are installed by Intercon full-time employees. Vinyl windows come in 3 colors and virtually any style or shape. Call us for a free no-obligation quote for your home. We present our products without any pressure sales tactics. We price jobs by opening and are happy to do the jobs in stages if requested. Compare our quality, reputation, and price, and you'll soon have Burris windows installed by Intercon in your home, too.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Schulte Roofing, Prosperity Bank, Hargrove Insurance, and Rudy's Barbecue. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
30 minutes after each and every Aggie football home game goes final, join me, hi, I'm Louis Bellina, and Dusty for the Twin Peaks call-in show powered by TexAgs.com. It's 2 hours of your phone calls after every A&M home game. Twin Peaks, they've got eats, they've got drinks, they've got scenic views. Join Dusty and I after every A&M home football game 30 minutes after every game for the Twin Peaks Call-In Show, powered by TexAgs.com.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Presented by Polaris Fund Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country. And Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Polaris Fund Center, where you can get a $500 rebate on any 450 or 570 Model A TV. Or $2,000 cash back on a Polaris XP1000. Polaris Fund Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays from 2 to 4 on The Zone.
This Christmas, hope marches on. The Salvation Army, in partnership with Bryan Broadcasting, present Angel Tree. You can support a local child in need by adopting an angel from the angel trees located in the Post Oak Mall food court. All Blue Baker restaurants are online at salvationarmybcs.org. Select your angel, shop for their gifts, and return them with the angel tag attached by December 13th. Through your support, hope marches on. For more information or to volunteer, visit salvationarmybcs.org.
TexAgs Radio, presented by Dave Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. David Lee Roth here. Hey, OB, we need to go to the News and Social Center, but I do want to read this couple tweets from our buddy Chris Landry, who will be joining us tomorrow. He actually said on this show last week that Bill O'Brien's reps were pushing his name out there with LSU just to generate some buzz for the Virginia Tech job. Last night, when Bill O'Brien's name was being pushed by his reps on a few jobs, it was to generate interest in Tech. I'm hearing that things could be developing soon on that front. Then this morning, he follows that up with Penn State defensive coordinator Brent Pry has emerged for Virginia Tech as the price for Bill O'Brien was not to the school's liking. He says they're trying to close the deal today.
What would be the price for Bill O'Brien? Minimum wage?
Hey, he helped them win the game against Auburn on that last drive. Or maybe their Heisman-winning quarterback made some magic happen.
I just don't get the Bill O'Brien thing. Plus, I have to believe that he interviews terribly because he's very arrogant, is he not?
It depends. Like on one-on-one, he's actually kind of a charming, funny dude.
Really? Okay. Well,
but in a when he's in football mode, he's not nice to anybody.
Okay.
And I've had people.
Well, I don't know him, so
people in that organization have told me that the culture that he developed there was just a very cold, stale environment where people were scared for their jobs and scared to even make eye contact with him. So that tells you what kind of guy. Let's go to the News and Social Center. Tori Esprovoa.
I have Ag Engineer 12 saying, Brian Kelly, I feel like I spent my entire fall season listening to the LSU fans say they weren't interested in Jimbo because of the stale dated offense, and they go and hire a coach who runs almost the exact same thing. Evan Stewart, an absolute coup, one of the most explosive wide receivers in the country, and unlike many other options, extremely polished. And you pull him away from the Sibs who thought they had him on lockdown.
You know, when I think about fans who get mad at certain coaches and this and that, I think we all do it in some way, shape, or form. You justify what's going to work out for your program. That's just what a bulk of fans do. The louder ones, don't want Jimbo. Then they get Jimbo. He's the greatest hire out there, right? It's just what fans do.
It is. Like I said before, you've got a handful of really accomplished coaches out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get one, you do whatever you can to keep him. And if you don't have one, you do whatever you can to get one.
To steal it. Yep.
And I feel good, even with that disappointing loss to LSU, I feel really good about having Jimbo Fisher as the coach here.
I do too. I feel very good about that. Tori, let's get another one in.
Yeah, I have Matt Santano saying, I wasn't surprised Jimbo remained at A&M at all. To tight end Evan Stewart, who gives an A-plus effort on their job if they were on their way out. While the recruiting momentum was strong prior to October and November, it really started to heat up after Alabama win. That didn't sound like a man heading to a different job.
Yeah, I don't think anybody on this show was ever worried.
I wasn't worried, but I was aware that, when he said, I plan to be there, that was always the one thing I thought, well, maybe, he's not a politician. He's not measuring every word he says, but I'd been around enough to know that seemed like the door was still cracked open.
In my few months of being around him more often than watching him from afar, he strikes me as somebody who's pretty genuine. And everybody is as genuine as the paycheck, right? But he just strikes me as this is what I'm saying, this is what I mean.
I know this is thinking small, but if I'm making $9 million a year and you offer me $10 million a year, does it really matter? I mean, I'm probably already making more money than I'll ever spend or my kids will ever spend.
Mm-hmm. Now you offer me that team plane anytime I want it, I might go to USC.
Yeah, I think Jimbo's probably had that already.
Yeah, you buy my house for $500,000 more than it's worth. Both houses. I listen. Not if Orange Bloods called me. That would never happen.
Wouldn't go to Orange Blood. So.
No. Wouldn't happen. I can guarantee that. 1,000,000%. Even $1 million contract. All right, that does it for the Go Hour. I'm not going there. I'm not going there or Barcelona. It is TexAgs Radio Hour number 2 coming up. Billy's going to call us at 9:20.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family.
Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour is a must part of any Aggie football season. Join Billy Lucci of TexAgs and Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, every Monday and Thursday at 6 at the Tap, or listen in right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour every Monday, Thursday at 6 is brought to you by King Ranch Saddle Shop. Also brought to you in part by B&B Automotive. It's the Bellucci Hour Happy Hour.
Download podcast of your favorite shows, Louie, Chip, or TexAgs in the Pod Center at zone1150.com. Subscribe and have them downloaded daily for you in the Pod Center at zone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. Bryan police responding to what began as a domestic disturbance ended in a crash where the driver's girlfriend was injured. The woman was taken to the hospital where she was treated for a dislocated ankle where a bone protruded through the side of her leg. The driver, 29-year-old Roderick Jones of Navasota, was arrested on a charge of intoxication assault causing bodily injury. According to the arrest report, Jones was believed to be under the influence of marijuana when his car struck a tree. The transition to colder temperatures was responsible for College Station firefighters making 2 runs on Saturday afternoon. A resident living on Legacy Lane who reported a burning smell coming from her furnace vents learned that was summertime dust burning off of the furnace. And at Friends United Church on Southwood, smoke came from a burning or malfunctioning HVAC fan motor until the system was disconnected. College Station City Council members have approved awarding a design contract for the final phase of rebuilding Francis Street from Texas Avenue near the new City Hall through Thomas Park into Walton Drive. Councilman John Nichols called on the design company to have some flexibility with the section going through Thomas Park.
I don't know if it's necessary to change the scope, but I think I'll be asking about it, and others will as well, particularly the public. So start out with some creative juices flow in that area.
Assistant Public Works Director Emily Fisher says they will be looking at Thomas Park options.
As well as the cross section of the street, possibly doing sidewalks on both sides instead of just one, like the other sections of Francis.
It will take at least 8 months to design the new street, storm sewers and sidewalks, then prepare the project for construction bids. The city of Bryan announces hiring a Parks and Recreation Director. It's the second time David Schmitz has that position. Schmitz was in that position between 1999 and 2008, then went to a similar position in College Station before retiring there last year. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Bryan Broadcasting congratulates the College Station High School Cougars as they continue their season in the state football playoffs. Don't miss any of the action. Hear all the Cougar football playoff games on Maverick 100.9 and streamed online at RadioAggieland.com. Thank you to our sponsors, the Advised Texas chapter at Texas A&M, Frost Bank, and University Title. Tune in to College Station High School football on Maverick 100.9. Go Cougars!
Hey parents, when it comes to your child's education, there's a lot to consider. No matter what you're searching for, search the Bryan Broadcasting half-price tuition program first. We've partnered with schools and learning centers throughout the area to get your student started with high-quality programs at half price. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kingsgate Christian School, Sunshine School, Kinder Music, and more. Half-price tuitions are first come, first served, and availability is limited. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on the Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Texas A&M men's basketball's Quentin Jackson has been named SEC Player of the Week after helping lead the Aggies to a 2-1 showing at the Maui Jim Maui Invitational. The LA product came off the bench to average 16.5 points in wins over Butler and Notre Dame. Teammate Ethan Henderson hopes the Maroon and White can keep the momentum going tonight against New Orleans.
We want to continue the intensity on defense. We want to harp on defense, but we want to get better on offense for sure. But I feel like that if we keep the ball rolling in the right place, in the right time, we should be able to beat New Orleans if we stay to us.
Ethan and the guys square off against the Privateers tonight at 6 o'clock at Reed with broadcast on 1620, 94.5 WTAW. Number 15 Aggie football is expected to fall when the new CFP poll is released this evening. The selection show gets underway at 6 o'clock on ESPN. Time for a look at the SEC, brought to you by T-Mobile. LSU has hired Notre Dame's Brian Kelly to be its next football coach. Kelly spent 12 years in South Bend, leading the Fighting Irish to a program record 113 wins. And that's been your SEC Sneak Peek, brought to you by T-Mobile, the official 5G sponsor of the SEC. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On the Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
You can listen to Aggie football, basketball, and baseball on your Amazon Dot or Echo. Step 1, say, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Step 2, anytime you want to hear fighting Texas Aggie football, Texas A&M women's basketball, or Aggie baseball, all you have to do is say, Alexa, play Zone 1150. It's that simple to listen to your favorite A&M teams that play on the Zone with your Amazon Dot or Echo. Make sure to say one time, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Then say, Alexa, play Zone 1150.
You used to call me on my. You used to. Yeah. You used to call me on my cell phone.
All right, cell phones, Zooms, you name it, BCSI hotline. Joined by Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC podcast here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Good morning to you, Gordy.
What is going on, David? Never a dull moment in the SEC.
No, sir. I'd love to get your thoughts on, we'll work our way back to the A&M LSU game, which I know you were watching, but let's work our way back there. The thoughts on the home run hire, if you will, from Scott Woodward to get Brian Kelly.
Yeah, let me just give you what I understand how all this went down. From everybody I've talked to, at least through the last couple weeks, Lincoln Riley was LSU's target. Let's not get that twisted. They were looking to hit a home run out of the park and get Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma. That on Sunday transpired where he went to USC. His agent or whoever representation had been telling LSU all along, we think he's going to come. We think he's going to come. Just sit tight. Then, they have the rug pulled out from under him. Well, Scott Woodward's not an idiot. He doesn't have just one plan and going, oh my God, what do we do? He had a backup plan. We found out a couple of weeks ago he met with Brian Kelly. He vetted with Brian Kelly and said, hey, would you have any interest to come in LSU? And it was kind of, if the money's right, we'll see, kind of that sort of thing. So Sunday they aggressively put together this plan and went after Brian Kelly. So I don't want to take anything away. LSU missed on their first target. It's a pretty solid backup hire. You're going to hear a lot of spin the next couple of days. Oh, this was our guy all along. This is who we wanted. Lincoln Riley's camp's already saying we didn't talk to anybody else. It was just USC and all that. We'll find out the real story, in the future. But settling for Brian Kelly is not a bad thing at all. Like when you talk about all the people that were available out there for LSU, he's got the best resume of anybody out there. I mean, I've heard people say Matt Rule and obviously Bill O'Brien, Matt Campbell, all these names that are being thrown out there. nobody had the resume that Brian Kelly has. And so from that standpoint, he is the winningest, or rather the most impressive resume of a coach that LSU has ever hired. When you go back and look at it, Saban was around a 500 coach when they hired him from Michigan State. Les Miles was a little bit over 500 coming over from Oklahoma State. Coach Ed Orgeron was under a sub 500 coach. Brian Kelly has the most impressive resume that anybody's ever hired, or that LSU has ever hired as their football coach.
So I'm going to give you an A&M thought from my perspective. The hire didn't really matter. Like, getting Brian Kelly, to me, it sounds great on paper. He's got the resume, all that good stuff. But I expect LSU to be a top program more years than not, regardless if it's Ed O leading them, Les Miles, and Nick Saban. Is that a fair way to assess it?
Yeah, I think if I'm an Aggie fan, the one thing that would scare me is, and this is no disrespect to Les Miles or Coach O, but there was a lot of incompetence there. And when I say incompetence, missing hires on coordinators, stumbling into a win where you had no business winning, little things like that happen all throughout the Les Miles era, clock management. What the hell is this guy doing? Like, moments like that. And then you even had it with Coach O. Outside of the 2019 special championship season, there were a lot of moments on, what are we doing? What is this guy doing? Does he have full control of his program? You get professionalism with Brian Kelly. You get a guy who knows what he's doing, who runs his program like a CEO. So I say that from a standpoint of, yes, LSU's always going to have top-tier talent in Louisiana. They're always going to recruit well. They're always going to be hard-nosed, offensive line, defensive line, and they're going to bring it. But if I'm a fan of another SEC school, it scares me a little bit that Brian Kelly could take LSU a step further. And what LSU wants is that consistency where they're winning 9-10 games every year. A down year is 9 wins. You know what I mean? Like, that's what LSU wants. And Brian Kelly, I mean, look at his track record at Notre Dame. He's done it. Now, granted, Notre Dame didn't play in a conference, and he's going to have a big step up in competition coming to the SEC. Don't get me wrong. But from that standpoint, Brian Kelly could take LSU a step further and have sustainability where, okay, if they're not winning the SEC West, they're finishing second every year. That's kind of what LSU fans are hoping for.
All right, I'm going to read you a text from Jim in Temple on the A&B text line and just get your thoughts on this. He says he's glad to hear Brian Kelly took the LSU gig, the advantage being to Jimbo in recruiting. We know that BK is way more buttoned down than Ed O was, won't be doing 40 linebacker curls at a local presser or ordering crawfish to his office. BK's shown sensitivity to media criticism before. How's he going to handle that Cajun spirit? So let's talk about that. It's a different animal to go from Notre Dame to LSU, the scrutiny. And I know he had scrutiny at Notre Dame, there's no doubt, but it's a different level, especially in the SEC West.
It is. And people, big criticism I've seen from a lot of LSU fans is, he's not a culture fit. And my argument to that is, look, we had the guy who ate crawfish and shared gumbo recipes. But at the end of the day, all that matters is winning. I don't give a damn if you can dance to Zydeco music or not. Like, can you win? Ultimately, there wasn't a better culture fit than Ed Orgeron at LSU. But he stopped winning, and he started making bad hires and coordinators and all that. And that led to everybody going, let's get this guy the hell out of there. With Brian Kelly, all of that goes out the window if you win. I mean, no one cares if you're rude to Saban is the most rude SOB out there, but he wins, so nobody cares. So if Brian Kelly comes to LSU and he's able to win, none of that will matter. As far as recruiting goes, I'd argue Notre Dame's one of the hardest places to recruit to, in that you have to recruit all over the country. Go look at Brian Kelly's current recruiting class at Notre Dame, and it's number 4, by the way. I couldn't believe when I saw and he's done this pretty consistently, had top 15 type recruiting classes every year he's been at Notre Dame. But, go look at his recruits, where they're from: South Carolina, California, Texas. I mean, he's got kids from all over the country. Now he gets to be a little bit centralized. He's going to be walking into LSU going, wait, you tell me I only have to drive 5 minutes down the road to see the number 1 defensive tackle in the country? You tell me I only have to drive 45 minutes east to go see one of the top quarterbacks in the country? So, yeah, he's going to, from that, he'll have an advantage from that standpoint when it comes to recruiting, saying okay, well, if we can do what the past couple guys did, put up the fence around the state, keep 90% of the top recruits in Louisiana at LSU, and then start to, go around the country where he already has relationships with coaches in other states. Maybe he brings guys from the north, the north that you wouldn't normally get at LSU, because he has those relationships with schools in Ohio and Indiana and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. But yeah, I get it. Like from a standpoint of he doesn't look like LSU, he doesn't sound like LSU. Yeah, that's fine. All he has to do is win, and nobody cares about any of that other stuff.
Hey, just quickly, I don't know if it's been reported. What happens if there's some losses this weekend and Notre Dame finds its way somehow in the college football playoffs?
Yeah, I think we're all kind of waiting to hear that. The vibe I get is Brian Kelly is done. I mean, he met with his team this morning, told them firsthand, hey, I'm going to LSU, and he got in the car and he left. So I think he's done. I think we'll probably hear from Notre Dame. They'll make Marcus Freeman their defensive coordinator, the interim coach. I'm sure he'll coach them. It's not out of the realm of possibility, David, that Notre Dame does make the playoff. I mean, all you need is one upset this weekend. You know, if Alabama beats Georgia, obviously that takes care of the situation because it puts Bama and Georgia both in. But if Georgia holds serve, man, what happens if Houston beats Cincinnati in the AAC title game? That takes out Cincinnati. Notre Dame bumps up. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But the vibe I get is Brian Kelly. I mean, with this press release coming out this morning, he's going to be in town, flying into Baton Rouge this afternoon. Yeah, he's done with Notre Dame. Whoever is there is going to take over and coach them in the playoff. And I mean, how weird is that? I think that speaks, David, to how good of a job LSU is, that you're willing to leave your current school that might be going to the playoff to go jump and get a head start on your next gig at LSU.
I'm just going to say this from my perspective, and what do I know? I wouldn't do that to my team. That's just me. That, to me, speaks more about Brian Kelly. But I understand that point of view from an LSU perspective. I get it. Like, it's a great job. But if you have a chance, I mean, just wait a couple more days. Tell LSU, just hold off, Bubba. You'll know by Sunday or whatever.
I get that, but what if LSU's the one saying, hey, look, we'll pump it up another $1 million if you come right now? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, at that point, does it really matter, though? Like, you know, like, I don't know. Just to me, my integrity is and what I've done for, if you have a chance to win a national championship, which is why we're there. Now, does that mean that I think Notre Dame's going to win a national championship? No. I'm just, look, I'm a talk show host. I'm just taking points of view. So let's move on. Go ahead.
And the answer real quick is there's no right answer on how to handle this, right? I mean, people were criticizing it. He texted his players last night. I'm like, did you want him to call 100 different players last night? Like, I don't, there's no right way to handle this. It's just, it is what it is.
Hey, what happened this weekend in that game? Because I saw an A&M team that came out flat, then turned it completely around. I was told about this LSU team that was missing all this talent out there, yet offensively they scored 27 points. There's some officiating blunders that I saw, but that's regardless. A&M could not stop them when it mattered at the end of the game. Just how did you see it play out?
Yeah, that was the point to me. I mean, look, we could talk about the Trey Palmer fumble. We could talk about the spot of the ball on the first down, all that kind of stuff. To me, if you're A&M and you have this defense and you have this loaded front that was living in LSU's backfield all night, you got to get a stop there at the end of the game. I mean, LSU's driving with less than a minute. You have got to find a way to get a stop, and they weren't able to do it. A&M had all the momentum in the second half. I mean, they were running the football better. The defense was, like I said, living in the backfield, abusing the freshman on LSU's offensive line. Max Johnson was befuddled. I mean, literally, his jersey was covered in dirt because he kept getting sacked so many times. A&M blew it. I mean, that's the realistic explanation for the game. And you know, if you're Jimbo, I think you really kind of have to regroup and say, you know, what was this season? Yeah, we finally slayed the beast. We finally beat Alabama. You know, the Haynes King injury obviously looms large, but you know, the more I start to think about it, the more I start to say that's not an excuse, you know, because this quarterback battle was so close throughout the spring and the fall that Zach Calzada should have been ready to go from, I'll give him a pass for the Colorado game, right? But after that, he should have been ready to go. And I don't blame the kid. I blame Jimbo. That he should have had this kid ready to go and more consistent. And Zach had some great games. He did not have a great game on Sunday night or Saturday night. Although if you look at the box score, you go, oh, wow. I mean, look, 3 touchdown passes, no turnovers. Okay. But he was largely inconsistent. LSU was bringing the pass rush and getting after him. But ultimately I put the fault at Jimbo. He blew that game. They should have put it away. And, you know, LSU riding the wave of momentum. Coach O's last game, that stadium was loud and rocking, but, man, I start to wonder, like, does it seep into the back of your mind that a decade in the SEC now, you have not won in Baton Rouge? This was a perfect opportunity to get your first win there, and they let it slip away.
Yeah, I get all that, but I think we look at that game different if the punt return, that was a strip in my opinion, doesn't go. And then we're thinking about an amazing Jimbo job, how he turned the second half around and whatnot. So what was your take on the punt return? Because everybody in College Station said should have been Aggies ball, game over.
Yeah, I watched it a couple of different times, and it's when Palmer starts to kind of reestablish himself and there's a defender right on him. If they had blown the whistle right there and go, oh, it's dead, I kind of get it. But yeah, they didn't. They let it kind of keep playing. And so, yeah, it was a fumble. They just missed it. And, ultimately, look, there's missed calls every week in college football. And, some go your way, some don't. But, no, I mean, you're right, Dave. I mean, if they get that call right, we're talking about Jimbo getting the win. You're talking about, hey, look, 9-3. It didn't go the way we wanted, but man, what a strong finish. Let's take that next step forward next year. I think at 8-4, you start to look at it, and yeah, people start to bring up the salary and go, we're paying this guy $10 million a year. We were supposed to take that next step. We were preseason top 10. We were supposed to take that next step this year, and we didn't.
Gordy, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining us here on the show.
Anytime, David.
All right, Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC on the BCSI hotline. And look, when we think about our teams and we have our perspective. I saw that punt return, and I say that is a strip. I think 99% of humans, if they're being honest, would say that was a strip, A&M ball, game over. And as for the Brian Kelly thing, look, I don't know enough about the situation. I really don't. I just know if my team has a chance for a national championship, LSU has to wait. Sorry. Then you're not the coach for me. And if I'm Jimbo, if I'm anybody in the SEC, hey, you never know. This dude may jump ship right before the playoffs.
Can I give you a comment to change your mind?
Yeah.
Well, it won't change your mind, but
okay.
Brian Kelly, LSU did the big intro video. Looks like they had him sitting down in a studio somewhere in Baton Rouge yesterday.
Okay.
He said his reasoning for taking the job is to be a legitimate title contender. So to your question of, does he think he has a chance there? I don't think he did. I think that's why he left.
Doesn't matter. If I don't think my kid is going to get a scholarship, I'm not going to say that. You're the coach of the team. Your leadership determines the kid's mentality, the way you set the table. And if good, I'm glad he's going to LSU. I'm glad. A legitimate chance. Let me tell you how hard it is in the SEC West, Brian Kelly. Whatever. I'm glad he's going to LSU. Disaster. All right, a moment now for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're not a disaster. I guarantee you our buddy Zach Hester's not leaving, right? Middle of the night. You know what? Yeah, we got a chance to win dealership of the year, but I'm going to go to this place that may not have a chance for a couple years. Whatever. Zach Hester's always got number one, so it doesn't matter where he goes. They're going to be great, and that's why he's at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Their current pre-owned inventory is low, so jump on it because they're going to help you find the car you want, and they're going to give you top dollar on the vehicle that you're looking for. That's what they do there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Great customer service, great people out there. 15 minutes, Brian to Caldwell, just a short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and start doing business with Zach and the fellas. Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, and online. CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com.
Everybody, listen. You're listening to your home for Aggie football, basketball, and baseball.
It makes me want to listen to this station.
This is The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
Hi, it's Jenny from your local Big Deal store. If you've never visited our website, you're missing out because we've partnered with some of the best local businesses in town. Dozens of gift certificates, all discounted, ready for you to buy today. Here are just a few of the businesses you'll find.
Pink Champagne Antiques, I Heart Mac and Cheese, The Chocolate Gallery, Nestle Toll House Cafe by Chip, and more. Visit AggielandBigDeals.com to save big. AggielandBigDeals.com.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. Not only is it time for open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For the typical family, switching to MediShare saves about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. Think what you could do with that. But if you join right now, MediShare is waiving their new member fee, so that's another $170 you'll save. And MediShare is really different. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills. More than 400,000 people are members, and they've shared over $4 billion in medical bills. So, yes, they can handle your bills too. This may be the time to make the switch. Join before November 30th for the additional savings. It's so easy to find out more. They're great to talk to. In fact, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Park at Tradition's Exceptional Senior Living, First Financial Bank, and Cooper's Barbecue. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family.
Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour is a must part of any Aggie football season. Join Billy Lucci of TexAgs and Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, every Monday and Thursday at 6 at the Tap, or listen in right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour every Monday, Thursday at 6 is brought to you by King Ranch Saddle Shop. Also brought to you in part by B&B Automotive. It's the Bellucci Hour Happy Hour.
Can't wait to talk to Billy about all things. We're going to do a little Evan Stewart. I got to ask him about Brian Kelly's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. With that, we go to the BCSI hotline, joined by executive editor and co-owner of TexAgs, Billy Lucci. Good morning, Billy.
David, good morning.
Good morning, man. I got to get Brian Kelly some thoughts from you on that in a moment, but let's start off with the big news here locally. Evan Stewart, it broke last night, I believe, right after the Brian Kelly news. How did this all come to fruition?
Oh, man. That's something that they've been, obviously, our guys have been writing about it. We've been talking about it for a couple months now. It's, it really sparked up a little bit before the Alabama game, and then you got, but keep in mind, this is a dogged recruitment by this staff, because they at one point he had committed to Texas. Then he was thought to be going to Florida or Alabama. A&M wasn't really in the picture, but Damian Craig and Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies stayed at it because Evan was such a priority. I mean, we don't even need to waste any time talking about how big a glaring need he fills. You think about a talent like him. I mean, go back to it. They just missed on a JoJo Earl who went to Alabama. They just missed on Jalen Waddle. This has been the kind of receiver that Jimbo Fisher has been coveting, since he got here. Jalen was in that first class, like literally since he got here, trying to get an explosive playmaker that can make plays all over the field, mind you, all over the field. He's just as good a receiving prospect as you're gonna get. And to come out of the state, you Garrett Wilson, A&M got in there late, Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's a long list that I think Evan Stewart is right in there in that type of group of playmaker. And look at how they've all produced in college. I mean, these guys, when you're that talented, you're going to be a big-time college football player. And Evans, he's a really bright kid as well. Personality, I think he comes in and has an instant impact from day one, and most importantly, provides something for this offense that they've so sorely needed, and that's a true home run threat at wide receiver, and a guy that's come in here, in my opinion, with a lot of polish. So they just stayed at it. David, he came to the Alabama game. He and his family fell in love with everything about it, came back for Auburn, same experience, and got close with the guys in the class, and here we are. The timing of it was a bit surprising, just kind of out of nowhere on a Monday night. So that kind of made it, I think, even that much cooler because it just sent shockwaves throughout the recruiting world.
One of the things I heard you say on the at-home visit was that this is a guy that can be a home run threat on day one. This is a guy that you expect to contribute pretty quickly.
Absolutely, I do. I mean, like I said, I think if he comes in with the right mindset, which all accounts he will. He's that kind of kid. I think if he comes in, he's a very likely day one starter in a receiving core that has a lot of guys that have played, but not a lot of proven, like over time proven commodities. I think he can come in and start by the time his freshman season begins. Look, again, this guy's like the receiving version of Myles Garrett, or if you want to stick to just receiver, he's Christian Kirk, that level of talent at the position. So yeah, he walks in and I think he plays day one and makes a major impact.
Billy, the power of the visits to Kyle Field this year, it's always an electric place, but I feel that there was an atmosphere this year that was very conducive to dominating these kids' minds when they get here and like, oh my gosh, this is where I need to play. Look at this place. How much do you think that played a role?
I think that's played a role in this entire class. When you go back and look back at it, it's funny how these seasons work, right? And again, I don't want to waste too much time. I want to talk about what this class is right now and where it's headed real quick, David.
Yes, sir.
But for a second, let me tell you, people will look at the record and they are 8-4. So much of recruiting, there's so many other things that go into it. But if you want to just go with the record, so much of the recruiting process is the build up to the season. What is your team thought of? And then it's how do you arrive at whatever the record is? And yes, of course you want to go 12-0 or 11-1 every year, but it's about the path to getting there. And so for A&M, they were ranked really high. They kind of fell off for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, in front of 105,000, including Evan Stewart, they beat Alabama. And then you rode that way for three more games or four more games? 3 or 4 more games with a bye week in between. So it was 4 or 5 weeks of riding that wave of the biggest win in college football this year. And then you get another home game against an Auburn team that ended up losing Bo Nix and fading. But at the time, you're playing the 11th ranked team at Kyle Field. You beat them in pretty dramatic, epic fashion, this time with defense. And it's a whole nother week. So really, when A&M hit the fall off there at the end, it's really the last 2 weeks of the season. So throughout the season, they were in the spotlight. They were doing noteworthy things. They were giving kids reasons to want to come. And I think that the recruits also maybe a lot better than the fans because they're not as emotionally invested, so they don't have that rage and that just raging disappointment and anger when the team loses and that feeling of devastation and dejection. They're looking at it going, yeah, they lost their starting quarterback and they've had a lot of injuries. And they're also going, well, I'm not going to Arkansas. I'm not going to Mississippi State or Ole Miss. And then you look around at what was going on in Baton Rouge with LSU, in Austin in year one under Sark, and then with what happened at OU. This is prime time for A&M to recruit at an elite level. And, yeah, it would be even better if you'd be over here gearing up for the playoffs, but there are 4 teams doing that. And A&M's recruiting ranking is right up there with the top 2 in that group, in Alabama and Georgia right now.
Billy, we're almost up to a break, but I do want to get your thoughts on the Brian Kelly hire. And let me just say this. I think it's totally uncool of him to bounce from Notre Dame with a chance to get to the college football playoffs, but Texas guys. But I'll let you take over.
Agree with that. Brian Kelly is an interesting hire for Notre Dame. It checks all the Scott Woodward boxes. It's a splash. You just took Notre Dame's head coach. It's a big deal. Notre Dame must be getting pissed. They lost Mike Elko to A&M to a lateral move. They lost Clark Lee to Vandy as a head coach, and now Brian Kelly. But here's the thing. is it fair to say I'm not scared at all by Brian Kelly in Baton Rouge, but I also think it's a good hire for them.
Mm-hmm.
Can that make sense? Like, I think they hired a guy who's an infinitely better football coach than Ed O. I don't think he'll recruit like Ed O, but he'll also recruit still really well because you and I could go recruit well at LSU. I think it's a good hire for them for the long term, especially with what they're facing. I'm still telling you in the way of NCAA and just the black eye they're going to take. Brian Kelly, I know there was the incident up there a few years ago, but Brian Kelly is going to bring stability. He's going to bring consistency to that program, and there's going to be an expectation level that he sets and discipline. I think it's a really good hire. But if you're going to tell me, Nuno, that with Jimbo Fisher in College Station and the way he is proving he can recruit, and we'll talk about this on Friday because this is shaping up to be not just the best class I've seen at A&M, but it could end up being one of the better classes put together since they've been doing these rankings by anyone. We'll finish that talk later, but just over the next few years, if you tell me LSU's got Brian Kelly, Oklahoma's got, I don't care if it's Josh Heupel, Mark Stoops, I think would be their best bet, but if it's Josh Heupel, Mark Stoops, or Shane Beamer, or Brent Venables, and Texas has Steve Sarkisian, brother, that's the inverse of Nick Saban, Bob Stoops, and Mac Brown when Coach Fran was here and at the end of RC's tenure. That's the exact opposite. And Jimbo and the Aggies have got to take advantage and capitalize because it's a wonderful opportunity for them. And that's what they're doing right now, and that's what they did yesterday.
That is Billy Lucci. Thanks, Billy. We'll see you on Friday.
All right, David.
All right, man.
David.
Nos vemos. Un abrazo. Got a little awkwardly hang up there. Hey, guys, let's talk Chance McClain Heritage Films. When they do Billy Lucci, the musical, or they do Billy Lucci, the documentary, that'd be better. Billy Lucci, the musical, I don't think it's going to work, although Billy would probably be singing in it in his own musical. But let's just say the documentary, it needs to be done by Chance McClain and Heritage Films because he's going to tell the story of Luch and his family and where they came from. He's going to do it like an A&E, a Netflix style. That could be you too. Right now, you could be like, all right, you know what? I want a documentary. I think I'm cool enough to have a documentary. Or you may be thinking, I'm not cool enough to have a documentary. Doesn't matter. Your story is an incredible story. We all have a story, how we got here, maybe how you got to this country, maybe how you got your job, maybe it's just where you grew up, the kind of parent you, whatever your story is, there's a story out there that Chance McClain and his staff can do. They'll come to you, 8 to 10 week process to get it all done, but they'll come interview you, lights, camera, action, bam, you got yourself a documentary done at the highest level. Check out yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. A presentation for seniors about food as medicine is this Wednesday. Contact Maturewell Lifestyle Center for more information. The public is invited to a reception honoring Dr. Craig Bohart, retiring president and CEO of Hospice Brazos Valley, this Thursday at 3:30 p.m. at the Bryan office. Kick off your holiday season by coming to watch the Bryan High Viking Theater perform their annual radio show. Performances are Thursday through Saturday. Find showtimes and purchase your tickets at bhsvikingtheater.com. College Hills Baptist Church provides free tutoring every Wednesday and Thursday night for all students in the Brazos Valley area from elementary school to college students. Come out and receive free tutoring from Texas A&M students for all your homework and studying help. Did you know The Zone is on social media? Follow us and like us at Zone 1150 on your favorite way to kill time with friends. We are Zone 1150.